Greetings, dear Lemurian ladies. Indeed, my partner does step aside. Many times now we have come to you, a group just like this, a group that is different each time. You meet for a specific purpose that's different than the others who would listen to the channels. I talked earlier today about love, perhaps in a way that was new, a way that we ask you to feel something that was different about the word, about the energy. I would like to review a little of the teaching that my partner gave today. It's a special group. Dear ones, it is a special group. Think of what your purpose is here and why you would come together for just a moment. Again, we say some of you are not even sure why you're in the group. But there's something that rings true to the very word Lemuria. And that's not even what it was called then. So you remember it, and in some way you sense it. I would like to talk about Urakash. Now, earlier today, my partner spoke of something, and I wish to enhance it. You think because things are a long time ago, that perhaps they fade in their energy or remembrance. And so when you look inside and say, dear Spirit, I really don't know if I was there or not. And how could I? It happened so long ago that even if I were, that wouldn't necessarily pop into my mind. Now here's what I want to tell you. Profound things that happen in lifetimes have no fading because they're timeless. To you, 50,000 years, an amazing amount of time. And what has happened since then, of course, is all civilization, all of it. Is it possible that even if it were 30,000, 40, would you remember any of that? I would like to tell you this about that. Energy never fades. And this is what brings you to the chair. It's not a remembrance necessarily of facts or occurrences, more that you were there. And what would it stick in that Akashic energy the most? That you were there or that something happened there? Something happened there. Something was not lost on any of you while it was taking place. The beginning. But more than that, you women are very similar to some of the indigenous on this planet right now who have a belief that the Pleiadians taught them personally. That some of them were birthed by them, females all. And that the message was this: the greatest love of all comes from the stars. Mother of creation, you might even say. And those who believe this, those indigenous who believe this, even say that these wonderful, loving mothers are still here. And the indigenous who believe this point to the fact that in the reality that they still exist at some level and are still here. They are as present as they were 50,000 years ago. And there's ceremony for them. And there's love for them. Not from a past experience, but from a present one. Melly Haw just gave you a story about the passing of Sid. Sid had to leave, and she knows this. For her to take her power, for her mother was Pleiadian. And in her Akash that starts to be as fresh as the day it occurred, she starts to remember the teaching, the skills, the teaching about love and compassion. Eventually the teaching will not simply be remembrance, it will be about action. And the action that she will present will be more than healing for yourselves. It'll be how to create love for the planet. And some of the steps that are involved in a three-dimensional way that will take you right into this, the reason you're here. It is so necessary that you rekindle the memory of the mothers from the stars that gave you unconditional love and gave you the first inkling of what it must be like. An off-worldly experience that you'll never forget, and it etches into your Akash, and it doesn't fade. Little girls think about things. They have fairy godmothers. And when you're young, and when these things occur, it's a fictitious person that you paint in your mind who has magic and love and knows your name. There is more to this than you think. The remembrance is that which is the Pleiadian mother. Magic, more than you think, and continues to this day to know your name. The association between the other side of the veil and the Pleiadians is blurred because they became a planet of ascension. That is to say, they still had bodies, but they knew how to manipulate physics. They could spend time on the other side of the veil. The pieces of God that were in them became the pieces of God that were also on the other side of the veil. It blurs. They were able to travel here without ships and present to you a planet of free choice. And their teaching was all about today. When you can start a path that they started, that you could be part of this wonderful revival of consciousness, and slowly, you'd know why you sit here. Lemuria was many thousands of years old. Many came and went in that time. We've told you that before. But in those thousands of years, the Pleiadian mothers never died. They continued teaching. Some of you had the same ones. Melly Haw survived several generations past others, just like her brother, who she's not aware of yet. What does this mean to you? She has the tools to give you today what you need to have. Her work will evolve just like you will. But today, I want to ask you to do something. I want you to remember the season, a time celebrated all over the planet, and not just by those you call Christians. There's gift-giving scenarios and customs all through the planet where you stop and ponder family, where you would give a gift a day to those perhaps you love, if it's true that you are awakening to a grander truth, if it is true that at some level the Pleiadian mothers may still be here, how do you think that they would react to you remembering them on a certain day, maybe even lighting a candle and thank them for what they taught you that is now coming back? A greater love that you will now spread upon the planet. Perhaps the teaching was for today, and that it would never have happened, and you would never ever be here to spread the teaching had you not passed the 2012 marker. Finally, we say this: the nodes and the nulls of the Pleiadians have awakened. If you're not familiar with that, you can research it, for I've channeled it many times. A time capsule in 12 pairs all around the planet that awakens because it's time. And what pours out of it onto the grid is for you. It changes that which is the physics of the planet and the consciousness that is related to it. And it allows an awakening to take place. An awakening where women, who are women this time on purpose, would start to remember the original compassionate teachings that they are supposed to pass on to others in the way they act and the way they feel. And we've said it before, it's women because you're equipped for compassion. Because that is what you know in childbearing. That's what you would know in the shamanic energy that you've had in the past, and that's what you would be able to instruct and teach in such a gentle, beautiful way. Maybe it's time to remember the love of a family you never thought about. A family that has been here through every single lifetime and has simply been there, and you didn't remember them and you didn't acknowledge them, but they know who you are. What a concept. In this new energy, in this season, to remember original family and the love that they've given you and the instructions that they've given you and the teachers they've given you, like Meliha. And that's enough for now. Breathe for a moment with me and think of these things, for they indeed are true and profound. And so it is.